Ever since the conversation regarding video assistant referees in football first began, around 6 or 7 years ago now, I have been broadly in favour of the idea. I wasn't sure exactly how it would work, when it would intervene, or what it would look like, but just the principle of it seemed like a good idea. I didn't really buy into the idea that refereeing mistakes had drama and excitement, and anything that could help officials do an incredibly difficult job with a greater degree of accuracy would surely be a good thing. The first time a lot of people saw VAR in action on a global scale was probably at the 2017 Confederations Cup, in preparation for the World Cup the following summer, since it had already been confirmed that the 2018 World Cup would be the first tournament to use VAR in full at all matches and at all stadiums. It would be fair to say that it wasn't a roaring success. In a game between Germany and Cameroon, the referee still managed to send off the wrong player even after watching the incident on VAR, before requesting a second viewing from which he did at least eventually send off the right man. When Mexico played New Zealand, a big melee had to be reviewed on the monitor for a long time as the referee tried to spot who the major culprits were and who needed to be punished from the extensive replays. When Jose Font clearly brought down a Chile player in the box, VAR didn't even flag the incident, having done so for much more minor offences in other games. The system was lambasted as being shambolic, pointless, and creating more confusion than clarity, but personally, I was pretty unmoved. VAR was brand new, and anyone who expected a seamless integration into a sport that is over 150 years old was living in a fancy world. There were always going to be teething problems, there were teething problems, and the discussion ought to be how can we improve and make this a workable system as quickly as possible. Now, for the most part, I thought VAR was pretty successful at the finals in Russia 12 months later. Sure, it was still new, it took some getting used to, and many traditionalists wouldn't have been happy even if it had a 100% success rate and took a split second to reach the right decision. FIFA credited the new system with raising the number of correct decisions in games up from 95% to 99.3%. It seemed to have come on leaps and bounds in just 12 months' time. Imagine how efficient it could be in 2019. Mr. HITC Sevens was still pretty content. The first seeds of doubt were sown in my mind in last season's Champions League quarter-final tie between Tottenham Hotspur and Manchester City. I'm sure the vast majority of you remember it well, in what had been a thrilling game, including a goal that VAR had flagged, but the referee said he could see no wrongdoing and awarded the goal. Man City scored a dramatic injury time winner. Or so we thought. It was the type of moment that makes kids fall in love with the game. Raheem Sterling was the hero, Pep Guardiola's composure was nowhere to be seen as he raced down the touchline and the Etihad was bouncing. And then came that dreaded image no football fan wants to see when his team have just scored an injury time winner. The goal was ruled out, rightly, as Sergio Aguero had been in an offside position when the ball arrived at him before squaring to Sterling. Guardiola had no complaints, offside is offside, and in many respects justice had been done. The right decision had been made. But something just didn't quite sit right. As a neutral, it was great drama, but imagining England scoring an injury time winner against Germany or Argentina in a World Cup final and having to somehow mute or at least dim down your celebrations until getting the word from the big VAR board that it was indeed a legitimate goal left a bit of a sour taste in the mouth. You could argue that football has always been about the combination of euphoria and anguish, delight and heartbreak, and VAR only adds to that. That would be true if everyone still went mad when their team scored and quickly deflated when VAR ruled it out as Man City fans did that night, but I fear that won't be the case. When the Lionesses scored against the USA the other night in the semi-final of the Women's World Cup, it looked to me as though there was a suspicion of offside. I cheered, but it was a tentative cheer, fully in the knowledge that the goal may not stand, a suspicion confirmed as soon as that first replay was shown. Again, it was the right decision, and justice was done, but I guess we have to decide whether that is the be-all and end-all. Please don't be fooled into thinking this is some kind of knee-jerk reaction to that decision and partisan support the England team either, since the other key VAR decision in that game went England's way and perfectly illustrates another problem with VAR. When Ellen White missed what should have been a routine tap-in, the first camera angle made it look like she'd just fallen at the crucial moment. Of the 5 or 6 different camera angles we were then shown though, just one of them really exposed the contact made by US centre-back Becky Sauerbrunn on Ellen White. The referee must have watched the incident 20 to 25 times with multiple angles, slow-mo, everything, and she still wasn't quite sure. At one point, she even seemed to gesture as if to say I have no idea. Now, in the end, she gave a penalty, and it was a penalty. There was contact from Sauerbrunn, and it knocked Ellen White off balance and prevented her from scoring. A yellow card and a penalty were the perfect rulings and punishment from the referee, but how can an incident which requires that much scrutiny, that many replays, and still results in a tentative decision be classed as clear and obvious? That was the term we heard over and over again when VAR was introduced. Clear and obvious. Now, clearly and obviously, that hasn't been adhered to. VAR is intervening everywhere and anywhere, from little nudges in the box to potential handballs that happened a full 3 minutes before the ball was put in the back of the net but occurred in the same passage of play. Personally, I would say that if a professional football referee, whose entire job is being able to make decisions with regards to fouls and incidents on a football pitch, if they are not sure about a decision after watching it 3 times, then is it really clear and obvious? And certainly, when you're talking about watching it 10 times, 20 times, for 2, 3, 4 minutes, there's just no way on earth any rational person could say that is still a clear and obvious decision. Now, I have also been rather generous to VAR and referees, since I have mostly brought up incidents in which the right decision has been made, even if the journey there has sometimes been a little suspect. Since the vast majority of VAR decisions, all the offside calls, have to be reviewed by referees, they are still at the behest of human error. Unsurprisingly then, we have seen incidents of VAR flagging an incident, the referee reviewing it, sometimes for a while, and still coming to the wrong conclusion. That is a minor point, but still a worthwhile one. VAR does not, cannot, and should not result in 100% correct decisions being made in football. One argument I have heard in favour of VAR is that the players want it. Sure, it might spoil some of the fun for you fans, but for the players, this is their jobs, their livelihoods. It's crucial for them that the right decision is made, regardless of how it's accomplished. I have a few bones to pick with this one. Firstly, the assumption that footballers themselves want VAR more than anyone else is something I have found no evidence of. The people who I've spoken to within the game, if anything, seem less positive about the system than your average punter. Secondly, and as cliche as it may sound, football is the fans. Without them, what have you got? Well, rugby league, but without all the running into each other, I guess. But in all seriousness, anyone who dismisses the concerns and disgruntlement of football fans as unimportant should not be involved in the game. Fans are the lifeblood of football, and if the public opinion shifts towards VAR not being of benefit to the sport as a spectacle and as a form of entertainment, and we should never ever forget that that is what football is, entertainment, then authorities really need to think twice about what direction they want to go in. Now, the old adage goes, don't come to me with a problem, come to me with a solution. And I'm well aware that so far all I've done is whine about some of the problems with VAR and explain why I'm no longer quite such a loyal advocate of it. So what exactly am I advocating for? I'm not necessarily saying we should throw the baby out with the bathwater, I just don't think it's workable in its current carnation. Offside calls are the most matter of fact VAR decisions. They don't require the referee to view anything, and they're not open to interpretation or debate. If we can get the offside intervention down to an art that is almost as quick and accurate as the Hawkeye technology is, when it comes to whether the ball has crossed the line, I don't think anyone would have any gripes with it. Sure, you'd still have the anguish of thinking your team had scored, only to find out they hadn't. But we've always had that, with players scoring only for the linesman to brandish a late flag, so if it's quick enough, I don't think there's any real issue there. I have seen some people make the argument that VAR should only intervene if it is a clear and obvious offside, but that just seems totally impractical, and indeed impossible to enforce as far as I'm concerned. How far is clear and obvious when it comes to offside? A foot? A metre? 3 metres? Personally, I think it's all or nothing when it comes to offside decisions, and we've just got to work on making that process as quick and painless as possible if we are going to have the help of video assistant referees at all. You'll often hear people point out the success of VAR in other sports like tennis as a testament to how it is inevitable the video assistant referees will become a seamless and beneficial addition to football in the long haul. I don't think you can make that leap though. The challenge system works perfectly in tennis because it is such a high scoring game. The reason football is so unpredictable and enjoyable to a lot of people is because it is a low scoring game. While some Americans have struggled with this concept over the years, it is true. The fact that goals and penalties come at such a premium in football means that virtually every VAR intervention is going to be crucial and more often than not decisive when it comes to the outcome of a game. It is because of this that part of me thinks there is maybe no way of creating a polished and precise form of VAR that 99% of people are happy with. One of my main gripes at the moment, I have to say, is with pundits and journalists who we've all seen lambasting referees on a regular basis, coming out and saying, there was nothing wrong with the previous system, human error, part and parcel of the game, yada yada yada. You people are precisely the reason that VAR had to be introduced because of the increased pressure and scrutiny that was being placed on referees. I can honestly say that in all my years following football and watching games every weekend, only in the cases of utter madness and rank stupidity have I blamed the referees for making a mistake. Yes, Mike Jones in 2009, I'm looking at you. Anyhow, as heart-wrenching as it can be to lose a game due to an incorrect refereeing decision, or God forbid, miss out on a trophy, maybe even the hypocritical pundits have a point when they say that it is part and parcel of the game. I just worry we're taking too much emotion out of football. The Premier League is already such a sanitised product, and it's happening more and more. Sometimes it's for the good, and I thought that was the case with VAR, but now I'm not so sure. Maybe you disagree with me, I'm not even sure if I agree with me, but I think it's definitely an issue that's up for debate, and I don't think anyone is entirely pleased with the current system. Let us know what you think in the comments. Does VAR need to go? Does it need to be reformed and worked on? Or is it just fine as is? Ultimately, I have no doubt that it is here to stay. Even if 90% of the footballing community didn't want it, I can't see it going anywhere now. And maybe I'm becoming a bit of a dinosaur, since future generations will one day not remember a time when football didn't have VAR. Anyhow, thanks for watching, give us a like if you enjoyed the video, feel free to tap on your screen now on mobile to bring up some other videos YouTube thinks you might enjoy. Please do subscribe to HITC Sevens and turn on notifications if you want to see more from me.